I think we're ready.
Do you see it in full screen?
Do see it in full screen, yes.
Perfect.
All right. I want to thank everybody for joining us this evening at a community technology support webinar or live stream. This will also be recorded. Appreciate your time. We have the link to the slide deck that you're going to be viewing. It's showing at the bottom left corner. For those that are interested, it's links.pccsk12.com/CTSW20. Stands for Community Technology Support Webinar 20. And we are strongly encouraging those of you that are watching, if you have any questions regarding technology and to make this as relevant as possible, feel free to submit them at links.pccsk12.com/questions. And I'll ask for the next slide. Tonight, we will be, it's back and forth. All right, so tonight we're going to be reviewing some of the common technology that our students are using. We're also going to give a chance for questions and answers at the end. And we will cover the following things. If I'll go to the next slide. Actually, I should introduce ourselves first. Who you'll meet tonight. I'm Mark Salzer. I'm the Director of Technology for the district. Andrew Steinman is driving the slides. He's the Associate Director. And our two tech integration specialists for the entire district, Rick Coughlin and Matt Smoot, are also in on this fun. And we hope that this will be a relevant and enjoyable time for you as you learn and see some of what we're using our technology with our students to do. Next slide, please. All right. Tonight, we're going to cover the following, kind of like just a very brief overview, and then we can do deep diving depending on the questions you might have. We're going to look at Google, which is our app suite for productivity. We're going to look at Canvas, our learning management system, newly arrived in the district in the last month and change. Zoom, our video conferencing tool, and Clever, which is the portal for us to be able to access a number of digital subscriptions and web services. We'll touch upon some troubleshooting resources that we have, and then take any questions you have and try to respond to them. Without further ado, we'll move into Google.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I'm Andrew Steinman, the Associate Director of Technology, and I'll talk to you about Google first. So we use Google really as for a lot of different things. And one of the great things about Google accounts is we can use Google to actually access other applications as well. So it helps us use the Google apps that are available directly through Google, as well as other applications that are not associated with Google directly, but we can at least use those login credentials to access those other applications. So we thought it would be really important for us to at least talk about how to log into your district Google account. So you're probably familiar with Google, but just in case you're not, you can go to any Google website, so any Google app, so Google Drive, Gmail, or just simply go to google.com. And at the top right corner, if you're not already signed into a Google account, you can just click on that sign in button that's at the top right-hand corner, and you'll log in with your district Google credentials, which for parents out there, if you don't know what your student's Google account credentials are, you can go into Parent Portal and look at your student's profile, and under the Network Information tab, you'll see a username and a password. So you'll want to enter in that username and then add on the rest for the email, which is at P-CCS-K12.com, and then put in the password there. And once you're logged in, you'll be able to access all those different Google applications. I also want to make sure that you pay attention to this sign in with Google button. You've probably seen this on other websites. We utilize this a lot to access those other applications to be able to log in through the Google account. So students don't have to remember multiple usernames and passwords. They simply just need to log in to Google and then be able to access those other applications. One thing I do want to highlight is that we've seen some issues where students are logged in under multiple Google accounts. On our district devices, we actually restrict students to only logging into their district account. And this helps prevent any possible issues that students might experience if they are logged into multiple Google accounts. So if you do run into issues with maybe things not being authorized or just getting an error message when trying to log in through Google, we would suggest log out of all other Google accounts and make sure you're logged in just under that district Google account. And I mentioned that you can get to all these other applications, and sometimes you just go to the website, like Zoom, you can go to zoom.us and then sign in with Google. Though another cool way to access these applications is through the Google Apps Launcher. And some people call this the Google Waffle. And it's because it looks kind of like a waffle. And if you look at the top right of your screen when you're logged into a Google app, and I actually have a screenshot of what it looks like for me down here, there's this larger square that's made up of 9 smaller squares, or a waffle, if you will. And by clicking on that, you'll see many different Google applications that you can launch from that location. And if students scroll down, they'll actually see a variety of district provided applications that they can log into through the Google Apps Launcher. So if you look to the right-hand side of the slide deck, you'll see what I see in my Google Apps Launcher. And so I can access things like McGraw-Hill, Savas EasyBridge, Zoom, and even Canvas, just through a click of a button after I'm logged into my district Google account. So that's something we try to make things a little bit easier for students to access these different applications. I do want to point out, sometimes you may not see all these applications, and that may be because we aren't allowing you access to some applications because they're not available for all grade levels. But sometimes we've seen, lately, we've seen it a few times where Google seems to erase all these applications for a short while. And if you do experience that, the first thing we always ask people is make sure you're actually signed into your district Google account, because if you're logged into a personal Google account, you won't see all these apps under your Google Apps Launcher. You'll only see the Google apps. But if you're confident that you're logged in under your district Google account, we then suggest go to the Google's Apps dashboard. And we have this linked on the slide deck. And if you wrote down that URL at the very beginning that Mark gave you, you can actually go to the same slide deck and click on these links. And I'm just pointing this out right now in case you missed that part. At the end of this slide deck, there are links again for the presentation. So just if you wait, we'll point that out again when we get to those slides. But you can also just Google search Google Apps dashboard and it'll take you there as well. So that dashboard has all of the Google apps, even more than what you can see through the Google Apps Launcher. And it will include all the apps that we make available through the Google Apps Launcher as well. So even if Google's having an issue and it's not displaying everything in the Google Apps Launcher, we've never had a problem with students going through the Google Apps dashboard. And so that's enough about Google. Let's move on to Canvas. So Matt, take it away.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thanks for coming to our session today. Really appreciate you being here. Again, my name is Matt Smoot. I am a technology integration specialist with the district, and I'm going to be talking about our new K-12 learning management system, Canvas. It was identified in the springtime that we needed to have some type of central singular platform to be able to allow students, families, staff, delivery of content, and that also allows for communication. Students can access Canvas from a number of different ways. First is by going to canvas.p-c-c-s-k12.com, then by clicking on the students and staff. Students can also go to Canvas through the Google Waffle that Andrew was mentioning in the previous slide. There is also a Canvas student app that is for both iOS and Android devices and any mobile devices that you can go to your prospective app store and be able to locate that app and sign in using a mobile device. Next slide, please. What's really great about Canvas is the integration not only with Google, but also how it can help support both home learning and support for families as well. Families can also access the Canvas through canvas.p-c-c-s-k12.com. Under staff and students, we do have a box for families. Or you can also download the Canvas parent app through either iOS or through Android devices. When you download the parent app, it will ask you to create an account, and then it will allow you to become an observer in your child's Canvas. You can do it for multiple children in the household, and to access your child's Canvas is through a pairing code, and the directions for the pairing code can be found on this short link bit.ly/PCCS code. Next slide, please. When first coming into Canvas, you'll notice the dashboard. The Canvas dashboard is access to all different courses that your children have. On the left-hand side, you'll also notice there's also a calendar and an inbox. We'll talk about inbox a little bit later. You'll see the courses that the child is enrolled in. And on the right-hand side, you'll notice two boxes, one for to-do, which is any assignments and quizzes that are due for the child that week, and the one below that is for assignments coming up for the following week. So parents and families can always stay up to date with what assignments teachers have given to their kids. Next slide, please. When going into an actual course, you'll notice the first thing you come to is a homepage. Bitmoji classrooms have been pretty popular recently, and this is an example of a Bitmoji classroom. On the left-hand side, you'll notice some various links, including announcements and modules, which is how kids are going to access a lot of their assignments. You'll also notice as in all of our Canvas, we have integrated into Zoom. So this is how your kids will go to their live synchronous sessions every day. By clicking on the account in your parent page and then clicking on notifications, you'll be able to disseminate what kind of notifications you get and how often you are getting them. So as you can see, you can be very granular with the type of notifications that you're getting. You can be notified either right away, through a daily summary, through a weekly summary, or not having any notifications for that particular area. One of the nice things about Canvas that we like is that notifications can happen through a push notification through the app if you have the parent app, through an email. You can also link your cell phone number and have communication through text messaging as well. And then lastly, one of the main driving forces for utilizing Canvas is the ability to communicate with teachers at the click of a button. Having one central location has just been hugely helpful for a lot of our staff. And so by clicking on the inbox on the left-hand side in the global navigation menu, a parent can quickly email a teacher directly and then be able to get responses right through the inbox. This also does go through your email and through your push notifications, depending on how you set that up from the previous slide. And now I'll leave it to my colleague, Rick Coughlin, to talk about Zoom.
Thanks, Matt. I appreciate that. My name is Rick Coughlin. I'm one of the technology integration specialists here in the district. I'm going to talk a little bit about Zoom and access for Chromebooks and iOS devices, iPads and phones. So just real quick, Zoom is actually our web conferencing solution that we use here in the district for all of our synchronous classroom meetings. And we previously were using WebEx, but we've shifted to Zoom and want to talk to you a little bit about the best ways and some potential troubleshooting that you might use to access Zoom. So the main thing, the most important thing I would say is that students must be logged into their Zoom accounts. That's for security purposes and other access purposes. So make sure that you're using the the district issued Google username and password, and using the Google SSO or single sign-on button on all login pages. You'll find that not just Zoom, but many of the softwares that we use need to use the Google username and password to log in. So If you need to access the Google login information, make sure that you visit the MyStar and Google Info page on the Home Learning Hub, which can be accessed through PCCSK12.com. So this is the first example of how you log in with a Chromebook. And so once you click on the app from the apps launcher at the bottom of your screen on a Chromebook, you're going to see this sign on dialog box. Step one is clicking on the sign in tab that you'll see at the top of that. And then we'll move on to the next step. Once you click on the sign in tab, you'll see right away that there's a sign in with Google button. So you'll want to go ahead and click on that, which will take you to a Google login prompt screen where you will put in your username and your password. So we can move on to that next step. Once there, type in the username at PCCSK12.com, and you'll want to hit the next button. And it will also prompt you to put in your password. You'll see that it's confirmed that you've typed in the correct username, and it will prompt you for the password. Once you've done that, you'll click Next. And it will log you in Zoom. The initial screen that you'll start on, it will prompt you to either start with video or start without video. Really, at this point, you don't need to do anything more with this dialog box. You can simply close it because most students will be accessing Zoom primarily through Canvas links. So they'll sign into their Canvas and they'll go to the course where their teacher has scheduled Zoom meetings. So this login should retain the login for your student on a Chromebook. One point of troubleshooting to note: if for some reason you are unable to get into a meeting, you're getting some type of error, potentially, or you're getting a notification that you need to be an authenticated or authorized user, it may mean that you're not actually signed into the Chrome app. And so if that does happen, one of the first things you can do is confirm that you've logged into the Zoom app on your Chromebook. And you can simply just go back down to the apps launcher in the Chromebook, find the Zoom icon, open it back up, and repeat this process if you need to. In all of our tests and experiments, we've noted that it should retain your login. So once you do this, you should be okay, but it is always wise to check in case you're not able to get into Zoom for some reason. When you open up a link from Canvas, a Zoom link from Canvas, it should automatically open up the Zoom app on the Chromebook. Much like Chromebooks, iPads function in a similar way, and so we're going to go over that a little bit right here. When you open the app from the home screen on your iPad or iOS device like an iPhone, you simply will be prompted to sign in. So you'll click that sign or tap on that sign in button, and the next dialog box that you'll see will have a Google icon at the bottom, which you'll click on. Much like a Chromebook, you will be prompted to put in your username and your at PCCSK12.com email address. Click Next. It will prompt you for your password. And then the screen that you should see shows these 4 buttons: New Meeting, Join, Schedule, and Share Screen. Again, once you do this on an iPad, you should not have to repeat these steps. If, again, for some reason you're not able to get into a Zoom meeting, one of the first things you might want to check is, am I logged into the Zoom app on my iOS device? We're going to shift over to Clever, another one of our single sign-on solutions. Really wonderful tool, and Mark Salzer is going to talk us through how Clever works on multiple devices.
Thank you, Rick. Appreciate that. Before I get into the Clever bit, I will just as a reminder share that we are fielding questions if you have any. If you browse to links.pccsk12.com/questions, you're welcome to submit questions that we're willing to field. If we can be of any assistance at all during the session, we really would like to do so. Regarding Clever, so all of our students have Clever accounts. They're provisioned through MyStar, and they are a launching pad for a number of our digital resources. And some of them are rostered applications and services, and some of them are just for authentication through single sign-on. But it's a portal that our students go to, and many applications that we use on a regular basis are accessed through Clever. On a Chromebook, on a Mac, on a Windows device, you're going to go through a browser, whether it's the Chrome browser or a different type of browser, and you're going to browse to clever.com/in/PCCS. Once you arrive there, you're going to be presented with two options that you can choose to use depending on your grade level. One option is log in with Google, and that's the standard one. You'd click on log in with Google, then enter your district credentials, username and password, Google credentials. Another option, and this is exclusive to our lower elementary students, is a QR code that basically is used as a badge. It has embedded in it the student's district credentials. And if you click on sign in with Clever badge, a webcam will be turned on. Your student will hold the QR code if they've received their little badge from their teacher, and that can easily allow them to be logged in without having to type in their username and password. So that's one option. Clever badges. Your teachers at the lower level, K2, and actually pre-K2, have badges. I'll ask for the next slide, please. When the students log in to Clever, they're going to be presented with a landing page, and the landing page will have a few components or elements. At the top, if they are in a browser, they'll be offered the ability to install an extension, a Clever extension, that they're welcome to do, but it doesn't add a lot more functionality, but it's an available option for an easier, in some cases, access to Clever. More importantly, below that option to secure the extension are teacher pages. In some cases, our staff have customized a page and basically pinned some of the apps that they would like the students to be able to get to, as well as added custom URLs to other pages that they would want their students to be able to get to through Clever. For sure, below that are going to be more apps. And so if you click the more apps link or just scroll down to the bottom of the landing page, you'll see a collection of icons that allow you to access various apps. This is just a representative sample from an elementary student. The apps vary based on the student's grade level and department assignment. So the things will be a little bit different in different students' Clever landing pages. But in this instance, you would see that if the student wanted to get into BrainPop or BrainPop Junior or iExcel or Seesaw, they would then click on those icons and be automatically logged in. Basically, their credentials are verified on the back end, and they would then be brought into those different web services, some of which we pay a subscription for. So this is a useful way to get into those services. I'll ask for the next page, which will show us how to look at this on an iPad or an iOS device, noticing that we'll actually have two icons for Clever on our iPads. They both get you to the Clever page. One gives a little bit easier access to the ability to call up the badges and have the camera from the iPad evaluate your badge if you have it. But in either case, and I'll ask for the next slide, you would click to log in either with the Google or with the badge. And then once you've done that, entering your credentials or your badge, you'll be presented with a very similar page, next slide, that shows, again, the teacher's pages and the more apps. And then you would scroll down and launch whichever apps that you're being asked to do, whether it's Seesaw or iExcel or BrainPop, et cetera. I'll ask for the next slide, and I think I'm going to turn this over to my colleague, Andrew. Thank you.
Yep. All right. And so you might have some questions after we've gone through those different applications. And to help you answer some of those questions, we've provided 2 resources, the Home Learning Hub and the P-CCS Knowledge Base. And before I go into those, I will point out that right now in this webinar, you have the opportunity to ask questions too. So just a reminder that if you have any questions to share with us during the webinar, please use that link at the bottom, links.pccsk12.com/questions, in order to ask the questions of us, because we are getting closer to that Q&A session and want to make sure that we are able to address those questions if you have any. So going back to the Home Learning Hub and the P-CCS Knowledge Base, these are 2 resources we created starting in March of last school year, recognizing that there needed to be some more support for students who were learning at home. And I'll actually show you a screenshot of the Home Learning Hub here. What we provide are several different, for several different applications, and each one we have resources that can help you get started, as well as navigating through these different applications, highlighting some of the key pieces that we recognize students and parents might want to access. So I have here a screenshot from the Canvas page on the Home Learning Hub. And you can see that there's just on this little portion, there's just a screenshot of this page. There's a lot more to this page, but in just this little snapshot, you can see that there's a Canvas guide for observers, how to get your students' login credentials, so that way you can see Canvas from their point of view. The video there shows an overview of how students navigate through Canvas. So again, a lot of great resources here. So this is the first place we recommend families go to if they're looking for information around the different applications that we provide through Plymouth Canton Community Schools. And I have the link here at the top, but I just want to share it verbally. The link is links.pccsk12.com/HLH, which stands for Home Learning Hub. That'll redirect you to the page, which you can then bookmark and reference later on. And then the knowledge base is a little bit more technical. So if you run into a problem where maybe you hit an error page, or your mic isn't working, or you're really not sure how to participate in the take-home program, we have several different common questions or issues that families experience, as well as resolutions to those issues or answers to those questions. So if you go to links.pccsk12.com/help, it'll take you to our knowledge base. And this is a screenshot of just what you would see when you first go there. And you can see we have topics that cover Chromebooks and Zoom and Canvas, iPads, and then there's even just general help. And these cover a lot of those common issues that we see families experiencing, as well as providing those resolutions. Though we recognize that these solutions may not work for the problem that you're addressing, or that maybe the problem that you're addressing isn't listed here. So we provide community technology support. So this is your ability to reach out to someone on our team and get some extra help with either the district technology that's been lent out to you, or accessing or navigating different applications that your student needs to access for their school. So we have a link here. It's links.pccsk12.com/community tech support. And that will take you to a page that lists several different email addresses that you can use to contact your building's technology support team. And you'll see that those technology support teams are specific to each building. So it's important that you contact the correct team, so that way they can support your student the best way that they can. And when you do contact our teams, please make sure you include your student's name and ID number. This will help us with troubleshooting any issues, because what we'll try to do often is look up from your student's perspective and try to reproduce that error. And if we know who the student is, that helps us out a lot. So the other thing I want to add here is we have 3 tiers of support within our community technology support team. And tier 1, we have gotten to a place where we're able to respond same day if you submit a technology issue. And again, that's, I would say, same day within normal working hours. If you were to submit a ticket right now, you may not get a response the same day, but hopefully early tomorrow morning. And tier 1, if it's one of those more general issues, we can resolve those pretty quick. If it's something that tier 1 is not able to support with, they pass it on to tier 2. We're at a place where we try to respond same day, but it may take an extra day for us to try to identify the problem and respond. And then if it's something really complex, it goes under our tier 3 support, and that may just take a little bit longer just because it likely involves getting the vendor involved and trying to find out what's causing the problem and finding a solution. So we just ask that you be patient with us as we try to work through these issues. And yeah, so I'll move on to the next page, which has our email addresses listed for each building. So you'll want to just take note. All of these email addresses, they simply have the school's name, and then it's .technology@pccsk12.com. So again, please make sure that you contact your student's school's technology support team through email. Include your student's name and ID number. That'll help us with trying to identify the issue and provide a resolution as quickly as possible. And with that, we're to our Q&A session. So I will pass it on to Matt.
Thanks, Andrew. At this point, I would be helping to moderate the chat, but we must have some expert participants because we don't have any questions. So we do appreciate your time, and we will be offering this session also for tomorrow at noon, tomorrow at 7:00 p.m., and then again on Friday at 2:00. So feel free to come back and see us. And as always, if you have anything or if you have any other questions, I'll just refer you to what Andrew was saying in terms of the school.technology@pccsk12.com and contacting the school's technology support team. Thank you again for everyone that attended, and we hope you have a great evening.